Cloud Giants are awesome creatures. Not only can they smash you in an instant, but they also bring a ton of tricksiness to the table as well. Maybe they're going to go invisible. Maybe they're going to look like something else. Maybe they're going to create a fog cloud. You really don't know when it comes to Cloud Giants, and I wanted to combine a character to hit that flavor, both powerful and brutish, but also incredibly tricksy. This is the Cloud Giant. This video is brought to you by the amazing line of Obvious Mimic t-shirts. I don't know if you guys have a shirt to represent your D&D love yet, but you should. How is your neighbor gonna know that you've slain a beholder if you are not wearing your Beholder Barbershop shirt? Think about it. If you don't have shirts to rep your D&D love, then this is your opportunity. These shirts are awesome. And with that, back to the build. Alright, let's talk lineage first. Goliath stands out. It makes sense, right? It's going to be a giant with a giant build, but it doesn't have the tricksiness that we need from the Cloud Giant. So we're going to be going Firbolg. Not only is it related to giants, but also comes with that tricksiness that we're going to need. And we're going to be able to use its features to great effect, but we're going to get into that later. We're going to be taking the Giant Foundling background. This is going to allow us to pick up Strike of Giants, the feat. Now, I know not every DM is going to allow this, so adjust as necessary, but this is a raw build, so we can pick it up here. As for our stats, we're going to want to make sure that we have a primary in strength, and we're going to want that to be odd, because we're going to be picking up a strength half feat as we go. We're going to want our secondary in constitution and our tertiary in dexterity, but we're going to want to make sure we get to that 14 breakpoint, because we're going medium armor, baby. As for our leveling, you may have guessed that since we're going brute and trickster, we're going to be going barbarian and rogue. Now, we're definitely going to be taking 5 levels in barbarian. There's an argument to taking a few more, but whatever we decide between 5 and 8 levels of Barbarian, then we're going to be going into Rogue for the rest of our career. We'll discuss that more when we get there. Alright, so let's talk about level 1. We're going to be a medium armor build, so take your best medium armor that you can. For now, I wouldn't worry about the stealth element, so if you can get half plate at level 1, more power to you. But eventually we're going to care about stealth, so we're going to want to drop that down to a breastplate. As for our weapons, for now, we can take whatever typical barbarian weapon you want to take, and that's going to be just fine. Eventually we're going to be dual wielding because of the synergies that it brings us. Again, we'll talk about it once we get there. Like all first level barbarians, we're going to be extremely strong. We get rage, which means we hit hard, and we don't get hit as hard. On top of a bunch of HP, we're going to be solid. Now, we have 2 different ways of going invisible. We have our hidden step from Firbolg, and we have our strike of giants from our feat. Both of these allow us to have at least pseudo visibility and then full on invisibility, which at this level is going to set up opportunity attacks for us primarily. We hit someone, we go invisible, they try and run away from us, now we get to hit them again with our reaction. So it increases our damage output while decreasing our damage because they're less likely to target us. Level 2, we're going to pick up reckless attack and danger sense. Danger sense is a great feat that makes dexterity saves much less threatening to us. Then we have reckless attack, which is, I think, Barbarian's best feature even over rage. Gives us advantage on all of our attacks, and then we get a clap back where they have advantage against us. The nice part about that is because we can go invisible, we can mitigate their advantage against us. So even if they do target us, they're going to be at base instead of advantage. So our feats synergize well with our features here. Level 3, we get our Barbarian subclass, and Ancestral Guardians stands out extremely highly here. This is the moment where I might think about switching over to dual wielding, because by having an extra attack, we make sure that we proc our feature every single time. Our feature marks the first enemy we hit every single turn. When they're marked, they're going to have disadvantage, and our allies are going to have resistance to any damage they do. Now, that doesn't apply to us, so they can attack us at base and not have resistance to the damage they deal, unless of course we're raging and they're doing bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage. Now again, this synergizes extremely well with the invisibility features we've taken. Now we can mark them, so if they hit any of our allies, it's basically tickling them, and then if they attack us, they're either going to be a base or disadvantage, and that's even if they can find us to attack us, because once we go invisible, we can disengage for free, no action required, walk somewhere that they don't know, and now they have to find us. It puts them in a no-win situation and really shines here. At level 4, we're picking up the Guile of the Cloud Giant feat. This is going to be a half feat, and it's going to round out our strength. On top of that, it's going to increase our defenses even more. When we're hit as a reaction, we can teleport away and gain resistance to the damage. So we can create distance, and we're able to tank the damage even better. Now this resistance doesn't double up on the bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. We can only be so resistant to something, but it does give us the flexibility to be resistant to everything else. Again, this is great synergy with the Ancestral Guardian setup, especially once we start considering we can throw thrown weapons to set up our Ancestral Guardians. That way they may have to run to us, hit us, and then we teleport away and they're out of movement, so they can't come hit us again. It just increases the no-win situations for them. They either target our allies, or they chase us down, hit us, and we teleport away. They're really not doing much. So this combination is not only allowing us to do solid damage, but it's allowing us to tank for our entire team from the scariest enemy on the field every single combat. Powerful combination. What I like about this setup is it allows us to be either a kiter, we can be using thrown weapons and dancing in and out using invisibility and teleportation, or if the combat calls for it, we can just stand in the front line, smack the crap out of them, and have them smack the crap out of us. We can do either. Whatever the combat calls for, we can handle. Level 5, the main thing we pick up is extra attack. The idea behind that is, even though it does more damage and that's great, the bigger part is it gives us more chances to proc our Ancestral Guardians feature to make us tanking very, very consistent. Now, there's a big argument for going level 6 in Barbarian here because it's incredible. We get our reaction, protect our teammates even more. We are filling up our reaction quite a bit because we're going to want to be doing reaction attacks, which our invisibility helps set up because they may not attack someone they can't see next to them, so they may take a step and we get a reaction attack. We also have our Cloud Giant's feat that allows us to teleport as a reaction, and now we're getting a third reaction. We're getting a little heavy in that area. There is an argument for just stopping at level 5, but you can go 6, 7, and 8 are solid too, but for this particular build, I'll be stopping at 5. At level 6, we're going to be going Rogue. I want to pick up expertise in stealth right away. This is going to combine well with our invisibility. Often we're going to have to be making stealth checks against their perception checks. It also just lets us do a lot more out of combat. What I like about this combination of subclasses is that Barbarians aren't really known to do much out of combat, and Rogues are known to do everything out of combat. So now we're amazing in combat, and we have the flexibility out of combat, and that's only going to grow from here. We get sneak attack at this level, so the 2 short swords that we've been wielding are going to now proc a sneak attack as well. Prior to this, we've probably been using a javelin as our thrown weapon, but now we should probably switch to a dagger because it can proc our sneak attack. Now, something I want to say here is, whereas we could get opportunity attacks before and it was decent, now it procs our sneak attack again, so it's quite a bit better than it was. So using our invisibility to stay next to somebody and potentially convince them to walk away from us to get an advantage opportunity attack that's going to get a sneak attack attached to it can be pretty powerful. Look for those opportunities. Level 7, we're going to get Cunning action. This is going to stack our bonus action with a ton of different things to do. This is really nice when we can attack, set up an invisibility with our attack, and then use our bonus action hide with our invisibility. This is assuming we've hit. We want to use our bonus action to make sure we get our sneak attack off and our Ancestral Guardian setup off. So if we haven't hit, use your bonus action for that. But let's say you hit on your first attack. Well, now your bonus action is open. You can go invisible. Use your bonus action hide to basically vanish from this frickin' earth, and then they're in the situation that we've been talking about where now they have to choose either to search for you or to go tickle your allies with disadvantage and resistance. They have no good options. Level 3, we pick up our Rogue subclass, and there are a ton that could work. You have Swashbuckler, where we're dancing in and out. You have Soul Knife, that gets us a very consistent ranged attack that's solid, as well as some extra resistances. On and on and on. You have Scout reactions to run away. But where I think this shines is flavor-wise, it's got to be Arcane Trickster. We are a Trickster Cloud Giant, Arcane Trickster. It all comes together too nicely for me to ignore, so I'm picking up Arcane Trickster here. It's not going to do much for us in combat. We can't use spells and rage at the same time, but we're doing just fine in combat, and it's going to open up a million opportunities outside of combat. It's going to give us some cantrips. I'm looking at Prestidigitation and Shape Water for just a ton of flexibility. Then you have things like Find Familiar, which of course alone is almost a character worth of out-of-combat stuff to do. Some out-of-combat spells that we're going to be looking at with the Arcane Trickster include Silent Image, include Charm Person, Disguise Self. You know, anything Tricksy is going to be a great option for us. At level 9, we're going to pick up our next ASI. We're going to want to max out Strength, but this is a good time to talk about, well, what if we max out Strength, what's next? Well, there are a ton of feats that really shine. Lucky is going to be great for making sure we hit our attacks. We want to make sure we're getting one attack hit at least every single round. So having Lucky can kind of help guarantee that throughout a day. Resilient Wisdom is of course incredible on a Barbarian. We really want our wisdom saves to be solid, so Resilient Wisdom shines here. Dual Wielder would allow us to pick up rapiers instead of short swords and then give us a +1 to AC. Not bad. Medium Armor Master is going to allow us to have better medium armor and not have the disadvantage to our stealth, so we can then move to half plate. At that point, you might want to go get 16 in dexterity to get that extra +1 in AC. So go with the ones that both are powerful and just fit the flavor of your character and you're going to be just fine. From here, I would probably just keep going in Rogue, get more out of combat flexibility, and keep increasing our sneak attack to keep our damage output solid. Remember that our sneak attacks, while they may be a little less powerful than just a straight Rogue counterpart, we've set it up so that we can be getting 2 a round instead of 1, so they can still be solid damage output on top of having extra attack and Barbarian. As for weaknesses for the build, everything does have a weakness. Range is our main issue. We can pull out a bow and still get sneak attack attacks, but remember our dexterity is going to be on the more average side than the good side, so it's definitely not going to be our forte. On top of this, we have the normal weaknesses that Barbarians have, being wisdom saves can be an absolute problem, and if we're unlucky enough to run into charisma or intelligence saves, those can be even worse. But at the end of the day, we've hit our target. We've created something that can hit hard, move fast, trick enemies, and can smash them. I really like this flavor. Let me know how you guys would have done your Cloud Giant in the comments down below. But with that, my friends, hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.